Welcome back to the Hermitcraft FTB server. As you can see, things are progressing very nicely. The seeds and wheat have started to collect considerable amounts, and the tree farm has also been putting out quite a bit of wood and saplings and apples and so on. And of course, I now have more rubber wood than I'm probably going to need for a long time. The matter fabricator is still busily gobbling up power, 512 EU per tick, and producing a decent amount of scrap. I'm up to just a shade over 3 stacks of iridium or UU matter, which will eventually get made into iridium and other things. Now, after the last episode, I did go ahead and I made a blast furnace, as I said I was going to. And then also somewhat a little bit after the last episode, a viewer pointed out in a comment, and I believe the name was Corey, that it was actually easier to make steel using a different method. One that did not involve the painfully slow, time-consuming process of the Railcraft blast furnace, or the painfully expensive, frustrating process of the Gregtech blast furnace. And that the whole process is centered around this block right here, the train workbench, which I believe is from TrainCraft. And to make this is actually fairly cheap. You have a furnace, a couple of pieces of iron, and 6 wood planks. That gets you a train workbench. And what do you do with the train workbench? Well, the train workbench, you take coal, and you craft a 2x2 like that, and you get coal dust. And for some reason, this crafting does not work if you try to stack the source materials. You see, it doesn't work if you stack the source materials for some reason. I think that may possibly be a bug, because it just doesn't seem reasonable. But anyway, you craft the coal dust like this, and you take this coal dust and you surround clay with it. Clay surrounded by coal dust gets you 8 graphite. And then the graphite, take 1 graphite like so, 3 iron ingots like so, it gets you 4 steel dust. This 4 steel dust in a powered furnace will get you 8 steel ingots. And so what I'm going to do here right now is I'm going to go ahead and make up the rest of this. Actually, I have some graphite here. I'm going to take a stack of graphite. I'm going to put this away. I'm going to take a stack of graphite here, and I'm going to make up the remainder of this iron with the graphite. Now, I realize this is a slow process, because this particular recipe will not stack craft this. You can't stack the source ingredients to craft it any more than you can the coal. But it's still not a big problem, because you can work out a little bit of a rhythm in crafting it manually, and you can see that 4 at a time, the steel dust does add up reasonably quickly, and it doesn't take very long to process 3 stacks of iron and a stack of graphite this way. And so I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crank up all 3 stacks of iron and 1 stack of graphite, and then I'll be back. All right, I have processed 3 stacks of iron and a stack of graphite, and it has gotten me 4 stacks of steel dust. Now let's see, I'm going to no look here. Okay, there is no steel in this chest right now. And because I don't have a barrel set up for steel, it's going to go into that chest. So I'm going to go ahead and put the steel dust in the powered furnaces. And as the steel processes in the furnaces, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this stack in there as well. And you can see coming in there right now, steel. And it's coming in 2 at a time, because each steel dust is worth 2 steel ingots, which is actually pretty cool. Now, I am actually kind of surprised that Gregtech has not managed to nerf the daylights out of this. This is just the kind of really easy recipe that Gregtech tends to nerf. So I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, and it won't surprise me if it does happen in an upcoming version of Gregtech. Meanwhile, that's a pretty easy recipe for steel. Now, I'm going to just kind of kick back here, and I'm going to wait for this steel dust to all process. And once it's done, I'll be back, and we'll see how much steel I end up with. Alright, the furnaces are done, and the last of the steel has arrived in the chest. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stacks of steel from 3 stacks of iron and 1 stack of graphite, which was made from coal and clay. So, not bad. Now, this steel is every bit as useful as the regular steel. Now, if you'll recall, there was a time not too long ago when I was unwise enough to break a machine, a Gregtech machine, without a wrench, and I ended up with some machine parts. So let's put them to use. Take some machine parts, surround them with steel. Gets me a steel machine hull. Now the reinforced machine casing, steel machine hull, a couple of advanced circuits, and 6 pieces of steel. So I've got my advanced circuits and some steel that I've just made. And the reinforced machine casings are workable with this. Also, this steel is useful in Railcraft recipes, such as, for example, standard rails. And I'm assuming also that it would be useful in other Railcraft recipes, but it works. That's the main point. It works just as good as the steel made in a blast furnace. It is a lot easier to make. Okay, I'll grant you, it is a teensy bit tedious to repeat all these processes manually the whole time. But overall, I think it's worth it. It took me about a grand total of 15 minutes to work up all that coal into coal dust and then make up the graphite, and then from there combine the graphite with iron to make 4 stacks of steel dust. And then, of course, the powered furnace made easy work of converting it all into steel. And honestly, I think that the process probably could be automated. Perhaps somebody who is familiar with turtle programming could come up with a turtle program that would enable the turtle to place the ingredients in the necessary patterns in the workbench and pull the result out. I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with turtle programming to even begin to attempt such a thing myself. But I think it might be possible. At least if it is, I'm sure somebody will come up with a program to do it. And by the way, if anyone does, let me know. I'd love to see it. In the meantime, I'll be back with more of a regular episode soon, probably tomorrow. In the meantime, this has been Cheap and Easy Steel. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, please.